Are you ready？ 亲爱的各位英雄联盟的召唤师和正在看直播的各位好朋友，非常感谢大家来到2019英雄联盟职业联赛夏季总决赛的现场。现在我们在上海梅赛德斯奔驰文化中心，一起迎来银龙杯最后的冠军归属的争夺战。亲爱的来到现场的万余名玩家，给到我们最热情的欢呼！太棒了！大家好，我是朱真。这么多年，真的走过8年英雄联盟之路，想到第1年我们在1933老厂房时候的美好的经历，到现在历历在目。那个时候我还喜欢躲在草丛坑队友，而现在更喜欢来过一过老年玩家的生活，来看看比赛，下下棋啊。那其实不管怎么说，英雄联盟这一款全球更多朋友选择的游戏，带给我们的快乐已经深入了我们内心的血液当中。有可能在弹幕当中，有些朋友在说了，哇，每到周年庆的狂欢盛典，又是他，哎，怎么还是他？对的，依然和大家保持那份初心和热情。是的，我又来了，也和所有来到现场支持 LPL 的朋友来见证2019我们这一个夏天用努力和拼搏共同串起的精彩。2019年呢，我们这场周年庆狂欢盛典有这样的一个主题，叫无限可能，无限热爱。那我们的2支进入到下决的总决赛的队伍也已经在场边就位。我知道今天来到现场的万余名玩家，你们就是为他们而来的，也是为他们呐喊助威来的。接下来就让我们一起迎接这2支战队和我们见面。首先，让我们欢迎 FunPlus。上单GimGoon。打野小天，中单Doinb， AD 林伟翔。辅助 CRISPR， 让我们再一次把欢呼送给我们的 FunPlus。接下来，让我们一起迎接 FunPlus 的对手，进入到今年夏决的RNG 战队。上单狼行。打野Karsa， 中单Xiahu， AD UZI， 辅助小明。让我们再一次为 RNG 加油！有请来到舞台当中。新生的劲旅和老牌的强队即将为银龙杯的争夺展开他们十足的努力。现场的你究竟更支持谁？希望换作对他们的加油呐喊声，一起为他们的这一次出战送上你们十足的热情。各位，现在我们将会宣布2019英雄联盟职业联赛夏季赛总决赛鸣锣开战。
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Shanghai for the LPL 2019 Summer Finals. You've introduced the teams. I'm going to introduce the desk. I will be your host today for our finals, and I'm joined by the coach of LNG, Nelson Sunna, and of course, 5-time LEC champion, 2-time World Championship finalist, Soaz, I completely forgot your first name, Paul Soaz Boyer, excuse me. Guys, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
That intro. I'm still shaking. Like, yeah. So as you've had a couple of intros, you've been a part of these. What are you feeling in those particular setups? You know, what's the emotions when you're there on stage, having to go through the motions?
I don't think people are too stressed right now, but a bit doing picks and bans. And I think as soon as the game starts, everyone will feel completely fine and play the game like they used to.
And for you as a coach, do you ever kind of tell them to kind of keep their head down? You know, Nelson, you feel like you need to keep the mental going?
I think the best thing to just tell our players is just let's take these games as practice matches or as scrims, you know?
Yeah, just keep them going.
That's the only way they can
All right,
play their
so
best.
Of course we are in the Mercedes-Benz Arena here in Shanghai, and of course we did introduce the teams. And I wanted to talk a little bit of the kind of the run up towards this thing, because we had a lot of small different stories, and you in particular have a fantastic story with LNG. You took a scalp off of IG.
I mean, I think it was just that we're the better team on that day, you know?
You were better on the day? Well, at the very least, we got you here to the finals. The LNG coach made it to the finals regardless. You can see it there on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, how we got here to the finals. Of course, LNG taking out IG, the reigning world champions, and reigning split champions as well, taken out. RNG then, unfortunately, sorry, Nelson, they did knock you out 3-1.
Yeah.
And they obviously took down Top Esports as well in our semi-final. And on the other side of the bracket, we had EDG. The fans were hopeful. They had faith. Unfortunately, not so much that BLG were able to take them down, and then FunPlus came in the semi-finals and did just look dominating in that particular setup. And of course, looking at these two teams as well, what is it like? You know, what makes these two teams kind of so good in your opinion? So, as like, why do you think that they're here above everybody else?
Mostly due to their style of playing in the LPL. I mean, both of the teams, from what I've seen, look pretty similar in the way that they play the game. Mostly towards bot side of the map. I don't think there's going to be too much competition in the top side of the map for today, but we will see what happens. I think they are just very good at the style that they're playing at, and they just practice it over and over, and yeah, and that's the way they play the game and they play League.
And Nelson as well, you obviously know these teams inside and out. You know, for you, is there a particular style that all LPL teams go for, or are you expecting pretty much kind of, you know, like Soaz says, go to bot lane, for RNG get Uzi fed, and for everybody else just kind of keep skirmishing? What do you take on these two teams?
I think at least for RNG, they love to play through bot lane, whether is it like directly through bot lane or from mid. And for FPX, they usually look to get an advantage for Doinb first. But for me, I think if FPX wants to like have a chance to beat RNG, they will need to look for like other lanes, you know. Maybe they just need to look for top lane. Because I think if you're looking to win the bot side skirmish against RNG,
are you saying they have to look top lane because Soaz is here?
Yeah. maybe, yeah.
Just want to make them feel better.
Yeah.
It's like, so like, you know, obviously we know towards Europe, it can be anyone can carry from any lane, and I think that's why Europe are so scary. Why do you think it is that, you know, the LPL teams haven't been able to kind of utilize that top side of the map, specifically with RNG and FPX?
I mean, it's a possibility that those teams are in the final, right? So they must be the better teams. So because they are playing through bots, some of the other teams try to pick up on that, right? As for us, the better teams try to play through every single lane. So that's what every teams have been trying to do.
Yeah, just EU's just scary. Is that what it is? Just
I wouldn't say scary. I think everyone have their chances when Worlds is gonna come around. It's just gonna depend to how people practice, and yeah, what they're gonna do during those boot camps and all that stuff.
And Nelson, obviously we mentioned Worlds as well. Both of these teams are, of course, locked in #1 and #2, regardless of who wins today. What do you think? Do you think a lot of teams, like internationally, are going to be looking at this game to try and poke out any of the weaknesses from any of these teams?
I think like probably the top EU teams will be looking at this game, thinking how they could be like beat FunPlus or RNG. But I think it wouldn't matter that much because like during Worlds there's the boot camp and everyone will adapt and change. You know?
Yeah. Too many things are gonna change by then. So
yeah.
maybe
not
patch.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better to boot camp in Europe or in Korea nowadays? That seems to be the hot topic. NA's going to Europe.
If you ask me, I think you should boot camp in China.
You boot camp in China? Hard to get an account though sometimes. That's the only thing. But
yeah,
of course, you know, we come into this and we've seen so many star carries, like you said, for many roles. But I specifically wanted to talk about the top lane and kind of, you know, look towards, you know, the GimGoon and the Langx kind of matchup, because we've seen both teams nearly give them resources, and they haven't really done anything with them. And I want to take your take from this, Soaz. What do you think they do good, and what do you think they do badly towards the top side?
I think they play good with a little to no resources, and I mean their main goal is to not die. But I believe because they are both gonna be playing the same style towards bottom, they are gonna look to eventually. I would hope that they both play a little more aggressive and try to get a lead for themselves. So I don't expect too much going from top lane, going on in the top lane. But I hope they will change that for this series at least and try to push their advantage and try to play towards their win condition in the matchup that they have, instead of just trying to not die, because I think that's gonna be a big factor as well. Even though I believe it's gonna be more towards the bottom lane that the game is gonna be played, I believe that a top lane advantage can lead into eventually a jungle or mid advantage as well. So I think that's gonna top lane is still gonna have an impact regardless of the team not playing towards it.
And Nelson as well, you guys have played against RNG more specifically in the most recent days. You know, is their top lane seen as a huge weakness, or is it more just kind of they let it on its own island? It's still very good, but you just you have to focus elsewhere.
I think it depends on the draft which RNG gets, because I think if their top laner gets like Vladimir, Aatrox, Renekton, these are champions which he can excel on, And if you've managed to squeeze his champion pool, I think he could probably cause like, I would say like the enemy has a chance to like break through from top lane.
All right, so again, we're moving down the lanes. Of course, if we're talking about any kind of solo lanes, we got to talk about the mid lane. And I feel sad. I'm a little sad, I won't lie, because Xiahu is so good, yet RNG won't let him carry. They just won't let him do it. They're like, no, I'm sorry, but it's got to be Uzi. And, Doinb as well. Like, these two guys are monsters in their own right, so as, like, these guys got to be scary coming to this.
Yeah, I mean, Xiahu always have been regarded as like a very good player. I think it's just the style that they are practicing towards, and really often looking to have as many TPs as possible to help that bot lane. So yeah, I think they will both mid laners are gonna perform, and it will just depend to picks and bans. The game have been moving on, so such as picks and bans matter quite a lot now. So just looking forward to see what Doinb prepared, and I guess we're gonna have to wait for that to see how mid lane is gonna be.
Nelson, do you expect Doinb to come out with a couple of surprises? Of course, the Pantheon's still undefeated. Do you think he's gonna chuck out something?
I think maybe we'll just see some of like Nautilus or Pantheon. Probably these two picks, but what I think is the main focal point for today's game, I think, will be both jungle and support from both teams.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If they can affect mid lane, and get mid priority for like whichever team, that team will do it.
So you think maybe it was being like more the early priority, as you say, like get the jungle supports to get the engages on. We were actually talking about this earlier as well. Yeah. It is more of about that kind of like if Karsa or Tain is given those freedom to affect those lanes, that could impact the game.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna come down to for me, it's gonna come down to how Karsa can influence the map, and if he can pair well with his support and his mid laner.
Of course, though, as well, you can't talk RNG without talking about bot lane and Uzi, of course. And this team, they live and breathe off of. But LWX has had a fantastic season. LWX is coming into this as top kills in the entire regular split. He's averaging per game. He's setting up for his team, but he still hasn't set himself up. People are still doubting him. And do you think this is finally his opportunity to kind of prove those wrongs against arguably the most storied AD carry in China?
I mean, yeah, possibly. It can go really either way. I think that the other lanes for RNG are gonna be more willing to like go and push that bottom lane leads. As for FPX, probably not quite as much. So it's gonna come down it's gonna come down depending of how mid jungle can perform and where they want to put the pressure. If they decide to just say they don't want to go bot and they want to dive top instead, then we're not gonna see him do that well eventually. So I just hope they will play on waves and they don't play RNG's game and just only go towards bots, as we said earlier.
And as Uzi, to you Nelson specifically, you obviously have to draft against him. You have to try and kind of set up strategies against him. Is Uzi as scary as you think it is, or is he just kind of There's a lot of Reddit people saying he's just all hype.
I think many players are afraid of his laning, but I think his laning is really good, but it's not something which you should be really afraid of. I think what you should be afraid of is more of his team fight, because I think he's the best team fighting player in the world.
And I think as well,
regardless of role.
Absolutely, and I think as well, something that I've noticed is that Uzi is that RNG have a very set style, but no one has figured out a way of stopping that style from winning. No one has ever come out and said, oh, they only focus bot. It's like, yes, but they still win. So what do you want to see from FPX if they are looking to try and win this series so as?
I think they will just need to play smart. They will need to not play RNG's game, and they will need to play smart, play on waves, and try to get a good mid-jungle matchup.
And of course, playing against him, you've obviously had a couple of Worlds appearances and MSI appearances where you've played against Uzi and on RNG. Does it mentally affect you in any way, or is it just another player on another team? Because you know, it's like when people turn around and say, like, you know, you play against FLICKR, you play against Uzi. It's like, does it ever affect you? Does it ever get into your head?
Not really, but I guess Uzi, there have always been funny things, you know, bottom lane turrets not lasting too long.
You look like someone who's getting PTSD, like you're getting flashbacks of just like, oh god.
I mean, he's always very willing to play very strong matchups, and he's not scared to show that he can play the strongest laner and push his leads. And his team is not scared either to like drop their lead or drop their lane really to give a lead to bottom lane. So that's a big factor for him sometimes winning his lanes. Mid and top lane can do many things to help out Uzi. Yeah.
Basically, they're Uzi and 4 wards. Is that what you're saying? Like,
no,
I think it's Uzi and 4 teleports.
4 teleports. Yes, exactly.
Uzi and 4 teleports.
Uzi and 4 teleports. So I'm going to put you in a hypothetical situation. You're the FPX coach. You're on that stage. Fantastic stage as well. What's the game plan coming into game 1? What are you thinking that you need to get your players going, be it draft or strategy? What's your game plan?
I think for me, if I was the coach, first I wouldn't bother trying to contest the 2v2 or 3v3 at bot side, because if you're trying to do that against RNG, I think it's not possible to win. I think what you need to do is to find the correct timings to roam to mid and get your advantage from there, and then you can decide, you know, you want to pressure top or pressure bot. And after that, it's just to have better scaling picks than RNG, especially top side.
Scaling is such a weirdly dirty word in this meta, because everyone wins. Like, you looking towards Europe and games end in 25 minutes, you don't get the scaling as such. And, you know, comparing, like, you've obviously been studying a little bit of the LPL. Like, what are the key differences do you see between the European League of Legends style and the Chinese League of Legends style?
Yeah, as you said earlier, I think we tend to play more towards just any lane, depending of picks and bans. As those teams tend to play mostly towards bot, regardless of their top matchup or regardless of their waves. Sometimes they will have time to do a pressure gank on top, but they will rather recall and look to help out bots, whether it's contesting their own camps or looking to be on the river. So they will just be on the river bot side most of the time. Yeah.
And now the big question, I'm going to ask both of you individually. China or Europe, which one's better? Which is a better region, which is a stronger region, in your opinion?
Then the answer is obviously China.
Obviously China. Yeah. Well, you are a LPL coach, so I kind of expect that. And now I'm expecting a bit more of a...
After watching quite a bit of games, I think Europe is stronger, but I think, as I said earlier, everyone have their chances when Worlds is gonna come around. It just depends to their preparation and how they're gonna match against each other. And also mental is gonna be a big factor to all the teams.
So not Europe.
No, I think Europe is gonna do well. I believe in our teams. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be good. But, you know, something that we obviously have to talk about as well today is RNG. This is RNG's 7th final within the LPL. This is a huge amount that they've always been around. Even when people thought they couldn't do it, they have done it. Even this particular split, people were like, RNG are looking a bit meh. Yet they're still here. They're still contesting for that final. So as you as someone who is very much a veteran of finals, do they become the same? Is everyone special? Is there more special than others? Like, what do these finals mean to a veteran like yourself?
I think every single final is very special. It's just a different arena, different crowd, and you just have different memories depending of how it went. So yeah, there's never a final that is the same as another one, really.
They're all unique in their own way.
Yeah, they're all very unique.
And for you, Nelson, coming to a final or any kind of venue, of course, we have the home and away system here in the LPL. Is it a big difference doing home and away, to having to travel and stuff like that? Like, you know, obviously the fans come in. Are the home crowd a big difference in these matches?
Yeah, I think the home crowd is different, and it feels more like lively, you know, because the venue is so much smaller, and I think each venue, each stadium has their own unique charms.
I think as well, like, you know, for FPX, this is a lot of these players' first finals. And do you think those nerves can really come into them? Do you think they're going to be able to control those kind of jitters? Like I said, like, Doinb is the only person on this roster who's ever made an LPL final. None of them have won it. What do you think, Soad? Do you think the first time is always a bit scary?
The first time is definitely a bit a bit scary at the start, but I think once the game is gonna start, they are gonna feel perfectly fine. However, I think the first game is gonna be a big factor to how they are gonna be mentally and in which place they will be. So the coaching staff will need to help with that, depending of this first or second game. Yeah.
And coming over to the coaching staff, hypothetically, you come off of a loss. How do you reset? How do you come back into a series knowing that you're already behind?
Same. I think it's almost every coach will say the same thing, which is to take it one game at a time, and just think about the next game. Because usually, especially in a playoff game where you lose a game or lose 2 games, you don't talk about what happened in the previous game. You just have to keep their minds fresh and just think about what strategy you're going to use next.
Okay, guys, we've obviously talked a lot at length about these particular matchups, but now I want to try and get some concrete answers out of you guys. And we obviously asked you guys for some predictions, so I'm going to start off. I think this is going to be super damn close for the predictions. I actually think it's going to go all 5 games, and I'm going to go 3-2, but I'm going to lean towards FPX because I'm a fan of the Nautilus Poppy mids, you know? So what do you think, Nelson?
I think for me, I think I'm a really big fan of Doinb. And it just happens that I know both of the coaches for the teams as well.
Ah,
yeah, they both have.
You got that inside info.
So, yeah.
No, not
You'll
really.
be able to tell us all the drafts.
No, not really. But what I think is, I think FPX will win, and they'll win 3-1 because I believe they can find a way to impact the top side of the map, and Uzi's lead at the bot lane is not going to matter at all.
Wow, okay, not going to matter for Bali. So 3-1 for you for FPX. So what's your prediction?
So my prediction was 3-0 for RNG. I think
what?
I believe in Uzi and Karsa. I think especially Karsa is gonna be a big factor for RNG to win this series. So I want to see Karsa on a jungle pick that will have a lot of free time and that will be influencing mid pressure and be able to use that to help with bottom lane. So I don't think there's gonna be too much action in the top lane looking at both top laners. So I'm not expecting that much from that, but yeah, I think Karsa is going to be a big factor and hopefully will help Xiahu enough that they can use their lead and take down that bottom turret.
It's all about that bottom turret, but of course as well, we got to talk about, like you said, the jungle mid prio, and you talked a lot about Karsa as well. These teams, they do heavily focus bot lane. Even FPX focus on that bot side to try and get advantages. And when you know that's coming, does that kind of create like a false kind of, almost like a false prophecy as such? Because like we did see it against BLG where FPX picked up the Pantheon and everyone, Twitch chat myself included, were like, they're going to camp this bot lane and then they flip it and go towards the top side. Do you expect to see them doing something similar, or do you expect them to try and keep down Uzi?
I'm not too sure as well, but what I think is their best chance of winning is just to get an advantage at top side, because if you want to play a 3v3 bot side, it's not going to happen because there will be 2 more teleports coming down, and it depends whether GimGoon wants to sacrifice his lane to join the fight.
And we talked about this behind, obviously, before we came live and stuff like that. We talked about the 4 or 5 man teleports towards bot side in the first 3 minutes. And from your perspective, do you think that that's a good thing that they're trying to help out their team, or sometimes you just think like, look, guys, we gotta take this L and we gotta move forward?
Yeah, obviously they have to see depending of their waves, and the fun thing is that they really disregard their waves, and sometimes the top laner will just miss out on 3 waves and be really far behind just to help that bottom lane. So I think they will do that regardless, but I'm really hoping that they will think twice before tipping sometimes. Yeah,
They won't.
yeah. I doubt that it will happen, but I hope so.
You're hopeful for it, of course. And what are you expecting? Like, what do you think is going to be the priority picks coming into these big bans? You know, of course, the guys are setting up on stage. We can actually see the players getting themselves ready to go. So we should be going to big ban relatively soon enough. But I'm going to go from a coach's perspective, then from a player's perspective, of course. We're assuming FPX are going to lean towards the red side purely because that's what they've always done. What do we think in this game 1? You know, what do we expect to be like the priority bans, the priority picks?
I think it will probably be Karma, because both teams can play Karma well, and you don't want to give Uzai Karma, because he'll just 1v5 you, even if it's like 5 or 10k.
Yeah.
He can be 5 or 10k behind, but as long as he has the goal and he has Karma, he's gonna win, you know.
There's
what
no
about-
Karma Ezreal.
Except Karma Ezreal.
Karma Ezreal with a Yumi.
Yeah, I mean, I think Karma is going to be contested. I hope that RNG is going to go for it. I want to see Karsa or something like Jarvan, if possible. And for top side of the map, eventually it's going to be like Gnar GP, depending of whoever I have to blind. And yeah, just translate that lead into bottom lane for whoever.
No priority top SOAS.
I mean, Aatrox is going to be the big priority, obviously, but I'm expecting that to be banned. I really wonder on how Akali is going to be for today. Obviously, in Europe, it's a very highly contested pick, so I'm not sure how that will happen.
All right, so we got our predictions. We got our different setups and stuff like that. So I think we got as much as we possibly can, but there's a quick one. Who's taking game one? Obviously, you're going to say RNG because you picked the Dixie to 3-0. So I'm just going to leave you in the corner so you get your RNG. Nelson, who's taking game one? Without seeing pick and ban, without seeing draft, who's taking game one?
I think it would be FPX.
Thinking FPX?
Because I think what a team should normally do is to use whatever cheese picks or whatever strategies they prepare on first game so that they could get an advantage in the drafts.
All right.
So I think they'll win first game.
You think FPX are going to win first game? Of course, I'm gonna let you say it. Do you think RNG are going to win first game?
Yeah, I think they will win. I think they will just I mean, if Aatrox is banned, they will look to blind pick now GP, look for a safe top side, and just play well on Karsa.
Well, there you go.
Karsa is going to be the man.
There you go. Karsa is going to be the star player. You heard it from us there. And I think we're just about ready to send it over to our casters over in our studio. So we're going to send it over to Jake, Raz, and Clement over in the caster desk.
That's fine. I don't have a casting name anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the casting desk for the grand final, I guess. My name is Hysterics. This is Raz, this is Clement. We'll be taking you through the journey that is RNG and FPX. And gentlemen, welcome after what is going to be a epic best of 5 ahead.
Yeah, I've been really looking forward to both of these teams going up against each other. You've heard it from both SOAS and Nelson on this one. They're very similar in how they want to start the games out. So pick and ban, we're getting right into it. This is where the supposed strategies, cheese picks come out, Clement.
This finals is really about the reinvention of the bot side teams. In spring, it was the Shy versus Zoom. It was who has the better top laner, but both FPX and RNG are looking to support that bot lane. Hyper feed Uzi or try to 4v2 tower dive on FPX's side.
Actually, big surprise here. The Karma has been left open towards RNG, so RNG can immediately go towards it. Actually showing their cards right from the get-go, going towards the Karsa option. Now, remember, Doinb's career, it's a long one, and it's been filled with Karma picks.
Yes, it has.
So it's going to be interesting, just as a great takeaway in Game 1, to see if Doinb wants to prioritize.
I know we didn't get a chance to talk about this before we go back over to FPX. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Karsa will be a very big pick in this series because Uzi and LWX are two of the best Kaisas in the league. But also remember, as we come back to FPX, Doinb also plays that Nautilus.
And I just want to mention on the difference here, if you're LWX, you're looking for that kill lane with the Nautilus. However, on RNG side, they like to take Karsa much further into the late game. It really anchors their teamfight 5v5 composition.
I just think it's just a good takeaway from the Karsa. A lot of the times, Karsa works so well in lane and also in mid-game, being able to utilize the Nautilus ultimate pretty well. I'm looking forward to, I love this pick, LWX's counter pick in towards the Karsa, because we knew it was going to be a contested pick for both sides. Uzi and LWX have picked it so consistently, but the Lucian pickup has been an LWX special.
His most played this split.
FBX really have their first punch set up already. We're talking about the bot lane tower dive. They have a pushing lane with the Lucian and plenty of crowd control to follow that up. Gragas is going to be so threatening, and it's going to be to RNG to now set up their mid-jungler priority if they want to help that lane.
And remember, RNG prefers blue side, FPX prefers red side.
Yep.
It should be a constant throughout this best of 5 unless if a team like FPX wants to get a priority pick like the Karsa that we're seeing already being picked up by RNG here. So I just want to see what Doinb wants to pick out. Throughout the later portions of the split, he's been going straight towards Pantheon. This is pre-reworked Pantheon, by the way.
9.15, yeah.
Exactly, we're currently at 9.15, so that's going to be the expectation, is that Doinb wants to get his hand on that, mostly for the mobility. So now that he won't have that option, I'm looking towards the Rise pickup here for Doinb.
True, one of the few plays to still pick up the Rise in the mid lane. We're going to find out. FPX has started banning away the Aatrox, which for Langx has been the safe go-to. The Gangplank follows suit.
does look like FPX are going to look to pick up Renekton if it's open here. It's a very strong weak side pick since FPX already have their eyes set on the bottom, and I do expect Doinb to get the final counter pick, as he usually does, to get mid lane priority.
I just love, hearing Soaz just his disinterest in the top side, mostly because Langx and GimGoon do not play to kill. They don't get resources on the map. But the point about Renekton is so crucial because throughout the playoffs, we saw Langx pick up the pick, find himself in constant 3-man dive situations, able to thin out the wave and find himself in a great position for RNG. You're right, Akali being picked up for the side of FPX. Doinb has only had 3 Akali games in his career.
Yep.
And so I expect that to be a GimGoon pick here. So let's just see what it turns out to be.
I think this speaks a lot of confidence in GimGoon's advantage over Langx. Both of them play with not a lot of resources, but it has been GimGoon actually carrying FPX in terms of damage. So he's saying that I can take a blind pick here, even on red side, and still look to win out on top, which is a very ballsy move. The Renekton would be the standard choice.
And if I'm looking towards both junglers here, just because we're starting to look towards the solo lanes, you're right about the Renekton. No, I want to see, I know this is being hovered. Let's see it. Honestly, yeah.
A game 1, Xiahu Gragas out of FPX. Now that's a classy way to start off the series.
Right from the get-go, we wanted to see an AD pick coming in from Doinb. He was denied his Pantheon. He's always had the Yasuo, was set up with the Gragas, and is coming in right in the beginning of the series.
The 18 champion pool wonder adds another one to the mix.
I gotta say, FPX is in a sweet spot for their draft. They have one out on the bottom side for sure, 100%. They're much stronger in their combos. They're much stronger early game. However, RNG do have that Renekton Elise combo that has been devastating top laners, but it really isn't their style.
I mean, if I'm looking towards the composition that RNG has, you're right. Elise plays a pretty large factor. He could go top side for an assured kill if that's going to be the go-to, or he can come bot side of the map because Morgana not only sets up a lot, but baits a lot of the resources coming in from Nautilus. So it's going to be a really smart defensive composition if I'm looking towards the bot side of the map for RNG. But FPX has the Yasuo Gragas post 6. I want to see what ends up happening.
There's going to be a lot of wombo kill combinations there. Ming is the only support player to actually play the Morgana here. I have to give the overall favorite to FPX. I think they're sweeter.
I just love, gentlemen, that we're starting off the grand final here for 2019 summer in such an explosive way. In the Mercedes-Benz Arena, RNG and FPX are righting the wrongs that they achieved, or rather didn't achieve, earlier in the year. Unable to perform in spring, they're now to the grand final here in summer, and we begin to see who will take another championship or find their very first.
It's actually such a big surprise that you can hear the chant leads here. Because this, I've seen the venue, we were in it. It was the largest venue I've actually just been a part of.
Yes.
From being in multiple finals events, being able to see ourselves in the Mercedes-Benz Arena here in Shanghai, you can finally hear it, so you get that big bellowing crowd from both sides.
And you can hear the RNG fans out supporting the team once again. The team that was denied the golden run at Worlds in 2018 are looking to get back on that road to recovery and secure a higher seed as we go into this game.
Yeah, take a look at this. So Langx is going to be cosplaying a mid lane, picking up the Renekton matchup towards the Yasuo. So this is going to be great just for the RNG early, first 5 minutes.
And this is so fun because Renekton actually has a good matchup against the Akali as well. Oh, but wait a minute, watch this strike going
that's
down.
an early bottom lane. Heal's going to be expended here. LWX flashes away. They match it. They look for first blood. And Uzi straight off the get-go. That bottom lane is ready.
And that's just the power of Uzi in lane. That was a straight-up level 1 kill. The Dark Binding through the minion wave. They tag onto it. Plasma stacks follow up. And what a great find. I think Uzi is making his step known that he is the true best bot laner in the LPL.
Statement.
I looked at that and saw actually just some pretty insane reactions from Ming. Because it was Chris trying to get a cheeky Q across, and I was like, that's pretty interesting, right? We don't really have much of a chance to really react to it. It was the Dark Binding that came through and immediately found.
Oh, wow.
So That was either insane luck or just an incredible skill. So I looked at that 2v2 and said that Ming was the reason for that kill coming through.
Feels like a bit of both after that. First blood goes over to Uzi. And when the analyst desk was talking so heavily that the bottom lane would make the game, well, this early snowball is something now FPX have to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at this and thought that these teams were going to work a little harder because much like the desk echoing the points that both these teams do want to start out trying to get advantages through mid lane. That's why getting the Renekton in the mid versus the Yasuo was incredibly important. Then it would allow Langx and Karsa to be able to use their advantages, find themselves bot lane. They didn't even need that. Uzi and Ming got an advantage right from the get-go, and Ming is already just hunting for those Qs.
And we should talk about Ming's Morgana, because he's the only one so far to play it in playoffs 3 times already, and he's been focusing on this champion because not only does it provide you with bot lane priority in the early game, you can also have good initiations later on.
Got that 100% win rate with it, Clement.
Yeah.
100% win rate, 3 games played against LNG.
I'm just taking a look at this because getting a control ward deep in this bush, it's going to give them a pretty large advantage here. LWX doesn't want to find a way to dive in just simply because, I mean, you know Uzi's looking for you. He'll start off the trade with a W, be able to stack plasmas on this one. Interestingly, starting off with fleet footwork here. So, oh my god.
He's not going Triumph.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. Just if he gets a kill, obviously he's going to be able to have a reduced cooldown in his ultimate. That's going to be fun to be able to see him just essentially look to snowball, hunt for plays alongside his team. It is funny because that's the expectation with this game being incredibly aggressive. And every time these teams have faced off both in spring and summer, like you see 6-minute, 7-minute skirmishes that end up deciding the whole trajectory of both of these games.
I just love that that rune choice right there from Uzi because that just shows confidence. He's saying that these team fights are not going to be that close. You know, I'm not going to need the Triumph to get through this. Instead, I'm going to spend more time hunting around. And I want to point out to RNG's lane allocations. It's really important that they're sending Langx on the Renekton mid because even though Renekton is good against Akali, it's even better against Yasuo. And you can, with the help of Karsa, start hunting for those kills.
And also look at the top lane matchup, even better for Xiahu Raz.
Yeah, I mean, even just seeing the fact that he went towards Electrocute to prioritize the early lane makes it far easier now for RNG to move around Karsa.
Oh,
take a look at this.
Flash for Flash. Cocoon into the Yasuo. Doinb in a lot of trouble. He flashes, but he's burning down. Tain can't get there in time. He'll just trade off.
Yeah, perfectly done. Remember, he's the mid laner without the teleport, so he's either going to have to stick around, get some help here. Take a look at this. Karsa's going to be hunting.
Cocoon won't land. That means he doesn't think they're in there, but now chasing after the flash from Tain. You'd think he's going another way. Double flash committal here from Chris's Langx. Stuns him up. No! You can't die to the Raptors in the grand final.
That feels bad. Trying to get out, but RNG is still trying to contest for the Raptor camp. And remember, didn't have teleport. They allotted a lot of manpower just so he can be able to keep this wave. Not even close. He loses this humongous wave. Huge CS advantage now for Langx.
And you have to remember, that was a 3v2. Chris had to expend a flash to go over and help. And then his mid laners dies to this. We have to see how this happens.
The angle from the body slam was to dodge out from the Spiderling. He wanted to be able to get the CC. Doinb simply wasn't focused on the damage of himself. He was looking towards the skirmish that was happening with his teammates. And that's the level of focus that we were talking about. When you're in a final setting, this is his second finals in his career, that there's just so much riding on the line, so much that you're thinking about on that big stage. The spotlight in this instance was shining a little bit too brightly.
And you know, that is such a Doinb thing to do. His playstyle is very much geared towards helping his teammates. A lot of times when you see these strong bruiser champions, he's losing CS, he's roaming, he's trying to help out, but that was just taking too much of his eyes off himself, like you were talking about.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because all of that was, that all happened because Karsa and Langx found that early skirmish on his head. Now Doinb is looking topside, as you mentioned, is getting spotted out here. And the entire game plan from RNG now is to just consistently shove out waves. Doinb is going to try and be creative to get an advantage, or at least try and get back into the game.
Yeah.
And RNG has been a perfect team at being able to just deny that. So I want to see what Doinb can do now.
Already 20 CS behind the Renekton here in lane topside. 10 CS here for RNG. And Langx can do things like this. The top laner gone mid is absolutely styling on Doinb right now.
So, point that I wanted to make coming earlier on is that Doinb had multiple members, specifically Chris, coming in to help him out. So he can, pick up the wave coming into his turret. I think the idea of trying to fight for Raptors was a good one. It would have been a great catch to Karsa. And then the idea is just simply move back and get that large wave.
Yep.
The lack of focus and him dying out here has now meant that the 67 CS to the 42 that is happening throughout the mid lane is only going to get worse. Langx is going to be a menace in the first few minutes.
FPX cannot function without Doinb leaving his lane. That's the biggest problem with the 4v2
That's the
style.
identity of this team. Clem.
RNG was able to shut down FPX in spring exactly the same way. They were able to hold him down in lane, so they have to get this Yasuo knockup combo to work in the mid lane, get those kills if they want to find their footing on the map again.
So one thing that FPX needs to be aware about, and you can already see with that attempted gank coming in from Tain, is that mid lane pressure is going to be necessary. You're never going to have vision of Karsa, especially since you now have 3 losing lanes that you're working with, so you're never going to have offensive vision to catch him out. And all he needs is both bot lane and mid lane to be shoving in his favor so he can look to sneak out that Mountain Dragon. So RNG is a team that wants to play it slow when they have their leads. It's going to be on Tain that's trying to find a creative way to get mid lane pressure.
Because you look at all these lanes like the Corki, the Karsa, and when you say playing it slow, completely agree because of how this goes into the mid-late game and how RNG have been team fighters in the past.
FPX really need to use this first Drake, get their wombo combo up, because right now they're already down by a combined 50 CS. If this continues, they don't have a good chance back onto the map. They really need to contest, but their lanes are just so far behind that they can't even get a potential team fight.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just looking at the champions, Renekton, Elise, Morgana, there's no way you'd want to fight into that if I'm FPX. So concede the first dragon and hope to God that the second dragon's not going to be Mountain Infernal, so you can actually start to play it safe and rely a little bit more heavily on GimGoon. So you heard it from the desk. They certainly were not looking towards the top side of the map, and unlucky it's going to be a second Mountain Dragon. Now it's going to have to be GimGoon that looks to outplay a specific lane. Tain is looking for it. Unfortunately, as we've been talking about, defensive
vision,
wards
right?
have been catching him out time and again.
It's just going to be the control ward here from Xiahu, but GimGoon's at half health, which makes this very precarious. Doinb moving up to the top side as well, but Xiahu's not taking any risk. He has the teleport, he has the flash, and he's out.
I think this is going to be fun. Just send the Akali straight through mid and play through Akali. Because once you get, post 6, he's the one that's actually been farming out pretty damn well. Then you can get to a point where you can play off of the Akali ultimate, the Shroud that gets put down. There's a little bit more unpredictability involved in that one, and put Yasuo in a much safer lane.
We're just going back to square one, though. There goes Renekton, there goes Yasuo, but Doinb's done this many times before. He's backing once again after clearing out the wave.
But I'm fine with that. If you're taking Renekton out of the equation, especially around bot side fights, he needs to now use teleport to be involved rather than just rotating. Take a look at this.
Hey, speaking of fire, Tuzi gets knocked back. Quick kill for FPX, and now the return onto Ming for FPX. This is what they need. He gets caught up, flashed on, and LWX picks up a kill as well.
Yeah, I thought they were safe. Not even close. Tain finally gets a fish while out there. He was taking a long time, topside for so long in this game. They just didn't expect him to be poking his head down bot side.
And look at how much vision's down there for RNG. He slims past it, finds a window for the gank as well, and he's not done.
Xiahu has to walk away from this, but they are taking top lane tower and Herald in the meantime. Looks like they will be forced away. And I just want to hype on that Tain play because he dodged out on the tormented soil to avoid detection. If he was ever spotted out right there, it was an instant back out from RNG. He outplayed the vision, outplayed the mind games, and we should get a closer vision of that. Ming does do his due diligence. He does throw the torment soil down.
Already over.
He doesn't see anything, and Tain surprises him out of the brush.
Yeah, just perfect from Tain. If we talk about best junglers in the split, Tain and Karsa are certainly, the two of them. It's hilarious to be able to see them both playing up against each other in the finals. This is one of the great moments of Tain because in the spring split, a lot of focus was just saying, hey, Doinb is making him look better. And then as you got to the later portions of the week, especially in the summer split, a lot of people respected him because a lot of the top teams started to put Doinb down, dove him under turret, started to focus on just not allowing him to leave, but he would find his own advantages. Take a look at this now.
That's a blind flash Cocoon after getting the binding. They want to fight. FPX get burnt down, and Uzi finds another kill. Karsa wanted to commit it. He did not stop.
All right, Langx's ready.
LWX needs to dash out of there fast. He doesn't have flash, but he's walking back in. Langx's ready. Dominus pop. LWX wants to run away and will, but RNG now find themselves a happy Gragas under turret.
Yeah, you're isolated, buddy, and Langx can tank for a long time.
Instant flash. Thank you, says Renekton. RNG with another, and we're starting to get bloodier as the time goes on.
You gotta love where all these fights are happening around. It is that inner tri-bush for FPX. FPX, where everyone is focused down. They're all hiding their skill shots around that area, and just look at how the junglers are playing it. Karsa knew perfectly that he could tank that damage and still get out. Now it's FPX's turn to answer on the top side.
They're active all over the map. It's last breath time into the Ignite, into the final execution. FPX do it again, this time in the top side.
Cleaned quick. Needed to happen. That was their lifeline in this game, was, you know, with how bot side was really turning out. RNG played this one out pretty damn smart, because after they got picked down bot side, Karsa just said, okay, we're still going to get the vision. We need to be looking towards the bot side dive. Found his way bot side, got another advantage. Now it's FPX starting to trade, and it's executed well.
Feels like they've mitigated a lot of that early lead. Of course, RNG still have about 2K gold, under their name. But for now, you've got the kill on the Yasuo, the Lucian as well. We're going to hit a much more competitive mid-game.
So, I mentioned this a little bit earlier on. If you're RNG, you certainly want Renekton with how far ahead he is. You know, Kindle Gem, BF Sword, in a really strong position now, level 10, in the mid lane. Just so because if he wants to be, you know, centered in the bot side of the map, he doesn't have to teleport, doesn't have to, you know, get a long journey this time around with no TP. He's certainly isolated a little bit more in the matchup. Now they have the Corki there, which is still fine. He's still doing well in the matchup in particular, but it's going to make it a lot harder, a lot longer to find these winning 3v3 skirmishes in the bot side of the map. It makes it easier now for FPX to play this one out defensively.
And to a point where turret planning is just dissipated. 14 minutes in, and Mr. Clement Chu, I think we're still looking towards that mid.
Yeah, this big dragon fight is where everyone is going to converge on. We see GimGoon and the top lane Langx going back for their first item buys. And I think it's very critical here that Xiahu actually finishes his Triforce. This is the timing that he wants to kind of force in. He did get a Hex Drinker earlier on, so it might be a little bit difficult, but you can see him farming all the camps right now. He's trying to hit that power spike and join the fight. He does have to teleport here as well, so I do expect RNG to kind of try to delay this just a little.
I mean, the 480 gold that he was able to get based off of just the turret plates alone is certainly going to help here. And if I'm looking towards the sadness of FPX, I'll say, having to contest for this dragon, because they certainly don't want to give a Kaisa Corki team double Mountain Dragon and an easy way to close this one out around Baron, contest for it. This is the one you want to play around GimGoon. Now has his Gunblade, and that's the most important item here to find an execution towards the backside. He needs to be at a flank.
And we're seeing RNG actually backing off because they don't have the actually have the item spikes here. So are going to hand this one over, and they know that this is FPX's strongest win condition. If you are caught by that wombo combo, Doinb is able to pick off a couple of kills, then FPX are back in the game. So I actually don't mind this move from RNG. They are looking at potential scaling factors and the fact that they don't have the strongest item spikes.
There's 3 mountains in this game as well, gentlemen, so in another 5 minutes, that contention will be right back up.
Yeah, at least FPX have a pretty quick comeback factor if they're able to find one play. Let's say a mixed execution coming in from the side of RNG. But RNG is still pretty damn happy about this. They can get to that Triforce point that we've been talking about, Clement wants from Xiahu. And you can see the constant pressure coming in here. GimGoon just has to leave.
And he's targeted, he's Killer Instinct, and he's flushed away with the perfect execution out. That'll be it, but that was close.
He burnt a lot in a situation where he knew he had to leave. He doesn't have his ultimate, which is fine. But now his flash being gone is going to be difficult. RNG, a great team, specifically Karsa, has been really good at being able to time flashes. We'll certainly have that one locked down.
And that one is huge. I think you have to bow to the crown sometimes. You have to pay your due respects. And with his flash gone, that means there's no flanks coming in the next Drake fight, which is also a mountain.
Simply backing off the turret here as well means that 2-turret advantage RNG trade-off. FPX picking up the Rift Herald, now looking for mid as well as top.
All right, Langx trying to thin out the wave. So this Rift Herald is going to be pretty ineffective because the rest of RNG were coming in at a flank. And at the same time, there wasn't really much of a wave to work off of. So at the end of the day, you like this a little bit more from RNG, but FPX were already put in a really bad position right from the get-go. So they're completely fine just trying to get gold on towards LWX and particularly GimGoon. I still think that even if you're behind, FPX is the best team at being able to find and claw their way back into a game because Tien's an incredibly creative player. We've already seen one example of that bot side. Another one as well is that GimGoon is just a damn good top laner. And while he's put in a position where he's losing resources, has to play on weak side constantly, we've seen multiple examples like last series in the regular season went up against TOP, and he just styled.
Yep.
He was given resources. He played team fights incredibly well. He's given a carry champion this time. This is his opportunity to kind of woo the crowd.
GimGoon is taking over the domestic top laner's job. He's actually the best blue-collar top laner we've ever seen. He gets the least amount of gold among his 3 carries, and he does the most damage. 30% of the team's damage in playoffs has come from GimGoon. However, I will say, the question here is he doesn't really have a lead against any of the solo lanes, so he can't really split push. I'm looking at that as a big deficit, and that pretty much narrows FPX win condition down to the fact that getting a wombo combo around Drake is absolutely necessary.
I know you're talking specifically about this game, but just thinking a little bit more about the career, which is a very silent one. Not a lot of people in the mainstream talk about
this
GimGoon.
split. This split, he was always not getting much gold.
Yeah, exactly. And so one thing that's been pretty apparent through any analyst that looks to the LPL last year when the team wasn't successful, they didn't have Doinb or Tain, GimGoon, LWX, and Chris were just stellar individual players. And GimGoon found advantages a lot of the times where he didn't have much jungle pressure at all. And it wasn't even as if they had another strategy involved. They just didn't have strategy. That's why a lot of the problems there, really occurred in summer and spring split of 2018. With Tain being added to the roster, it makes GimGoon feel a lot more connected with the map, which is why I'm a lot more concerned here for RNG, even with the lead they currently have.
First grand final as well. GimGoon in the top lane in the Kali, and while we are checking in specifically to this game with that Gunblade, I want to look across the map for FPX as well, because as we're talking about them trailing through this game, number one, we're looking at the Lucian, who's almost towards that second item. The Yasuo in the same boat as well, alongside Tain on Gragas.
Looks like, if I'm just honest here, Doinb going towards the Sterix page, he wants to be able to find himself splitting the map as much as possible. It's not going to be too easy for him if Langx continues to match him. This time around it was Corki, so he's completely fine. But that's why I look towards RNG and say they have options in being able to match FPX. FPX doesn't have the ability to necessarily split push if Langx with the lead that he has is there. And they have to team fight, but once again, with how well RNG has been able to set up in the early portions of the game, they will always be able to team fight with the lead that Uzi currently has. 209 CS, 19 minutes in the game.
About
kind of
1K gold,
exactly. So the lead is certainly there for Uzi. They're going to be completely playing around him.
A little bit lower for Uzi's actual CS per minute, I have to say, which has been insane. He's actually been averaging 11 CS per minute.
Hang on, Clement. GimGoon's in a lot of trouble. Has to go in with perfect execution. Xiahu at half health, looking for the final blow. That turned around quickly.
Yep. Akali, ladies and gentlemen, and also GimGoon was just on the ball there. Xiahu thought he got the jump on him, and fair, he did. But the moment the Shroud comes through, you just don't know where he is, loses a lot of damage, has to go back to base. Doesn't have flash either, where GimGoon will has his own in about 30 seconds.
And without that flash as well, remember what we're looking towards. Mountain now up mid-turret to threaten. FPX have a lot of cards on the table, and breaking open that mid-turret, RNG goes straight to the Dragon.
FPX know they're late to the play, so instead they're trying to draw RNG for that wombo combo. Look at them hiding in this brush. They got it fully cleared, but Chris going back means that it's not going to have enough crowd control for them to actually take it.
And by the way, international audience, welcome to the LPL. 20 minutes on the dot, especially with the multiple Mountain Dragons on the field. Baron buff is certainly in play. Muramana has been already picked up by Uzi, so he stacked that up completely. This team is ready to just go for it, but take a look at this.
I mean, they get explosive cast back. That's a hook in from Chris starting the engage. The dredge line goes up. Chris goes down. Uzi finds the first kill. Tain has to flash away as well. The damage is outrageous from RNG.
GimGoon found the flank. Unfortunately, his team had already been crushed by the time he got there. That's a lot of damage coming in through from just Uzi alone, ulting in just to get the final hit. This is desperate times here from FPX.
Hit the Muramana a minute before that fight as well, so good windows for RNG, and picking up the kill, another summoner. Their gold continues to skyrocket.
FPX just tried to get that engage way too hard. Their side lanes weren't in position. The teleports were used, but actually not the teleports were used, but the collapse did not come in on time. And it's just so damn easy for Elise to dodge all of that crowd control. Chris, he throws out the ultimate, but watch Karsa as this fizzle, and he has to pay with it with his life.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you just need follow-up. If Tian's going in, because recognize this, not only is his ultimate going to get a great angle, it's going to clear the wave so he knows that he's going to help from the turret itself. But the realization is that LWX is not going to come in. He already has about 60% HP. If he dives in, he dies almost instantly. He recognizes that, so there's no one that can actually finish off the kill. I like the idea from Tain, but it was more so just recognizing what cards you have on the table with both of your solo laners on side lanes.
Yeah, I thought Tain was fine. I just thought Chris overstepped a little bit, and that really did kind of throw a wrench here. And now RNG is in a dominant position, 4K up. They have that river control and a very, very fast Baron.
I mean, they have Baron control. They've cleared out vision. They've got towards the top side here for Xiahu. That turret's about to drop down, and all out is going down. RNG set up again.
So this is the moment in the game where I start to talk about Uzi just a little bit more.
Okay,
because we were talking about the CS margins. Your point about 11 CS per minute. The issue with that is that it's not natural. It's only that high because a lot of the times his teams, Karsa has mentioned it consistently. Of course, Xiahu loses a lot of waves for it. They funnel resources into a mid game, and this is the payoff. Sure, he has 3 kills for himself, but now he has 3 items. Runan's Hurricane came in incredibly quickly, so RNG is able to get to that quote-unquote late game scenario because they speed it up for Uzi.
And I say this every time, it's like looking at RNG of 2018. The global fans, it's probably the one LPL team they'll return to and go, things do look a bit familiar.
Yeah, RNG are the gold funneling team for Uzi, which is why I feel so bad for FPX, because their solo lanes are now in the lead as
Hang on
well.
a minute. This
They're
is
going to have to
blind
contest this.
and start it up. Double Mountain RNG. Tain needs to get in. The explosive cast used for the kill. But Baron goes down. Langx running away with dominance. Will he burn?
Oh!
Last bullet doesn't connect. And all 5 are out with Baron.
That's maximum efficiency, my friends.
yeah.
Got in, got out with Baron buff in tow.
And that was a bit unfortunate from FPX. They were hoping that Tain's explosive cast would reach inside the pit and allow a target to be flown into, so Doinb would have a chance to steal Baron. Instead, they only got the Ancient Crocodile.
I don't even know if he had the opportunity to get in the pit, but it was certainly a Hail Mary play.
Yeah.
That cask was a football in that scenario, and he was hoping that it would just catch a target. That's how desperate they are in this case. If we're just looking at it, we've talked about how much of a playmaking material Yasuo Gragas has. But the fact that they don't have a true frontline AP, of course, on the Gragas, and a Nautilus who's incredibly far behind in this state of the game, they will die instantly to the Karsa build. So you need to at least stick around, keep them interested. It's not even going to be possible.
And a pick's not a pick anymore. QSS picked up for Uzi.
Yep.
He already had the Ardent Sense of Morgana, so difficult to get through RNG, who in game 1 take a massive advantage.
And so there are a few things that do come into play for this one. While a lot of it came from the really unfortunate 2v2 fight from LWX Crisp and Uzi and Ming, but also I feel like Langx, who has been to a certain extent a butt of the joke during the regular season, has been playing poorly because he's a carry player being put in a position where he's being given 0 resources. In the playoffs, found that evolution.
Yeah.
Really was able to play it out perfectly. Every time they went topside, LNG is a great example of that. Sent 3 members up. He was able to completely thin out the wave, get the hell out of dodge, and at the same time his team
What
find
a good pick off here for FPX. This is RNG going into stasis. Xiahu has to flash away. I like that from FPX. They need to find a pick, but now RNG turn. No longer. Langx and Uzi press the go button, and already FPX lose their jungle.
You just can't blame them. They are trying their hardest. It's only accelerating the game, unfortunately.
Into the inhibitor turret they go. RNG with the Baron buff. Maximum efficiency, I'll call it that. Because now almost 10k gold, and the crowd supports RNG in yet another final.
This is the momentum you talk about a lot in the RNG venue, and certainly when you get into this big atmosphere, RNG has now electrified the crowd.
FPX need the thrilling play, the last stand. The culling comes out to clear the wave. The inhibitor turret goes down again. And it's going to rely on one moment from this team.
And RNG are just taking this so measured. They know exactly the cooldowns on the last breath. They know that combo hasn't come in. They take a tower. Once that ult hits up, they back out immediately. They're giving no chances over to FPX. And this just looks like such a damn clean game. 3 Drakes going over. I have to say this game really was FPX making a lot of mistakes early on, not getting the kills to let that happen.
As you can see, just taking a look at this one, this was the opportunity they were looking for on Xiahu. Unfortunately, stopwatch, out of there quickly with the flash, and you can already see Langx moving
Killer
over.
instinct. This is just so damn easy to follow off.
So quick, right? And so I just wanted to make a point about the fact that not only is there momentum within the audience, but you can also see the RNG fans at home pulling in, their donations. You can see it on the bottom left side of the screen. That's the fun little fact you can have as a Chinese audience out there. Xiao's already gotten 3, by the way. That's the fun stuff that you get, especially in kind of snowballing games like these, that the RNG fans just go out of nowhere and just come dishing out.
There's
It's
another
actually
one.
all Xiahu.
I mean, Xiahu.
Clement, explain this. Explain
well,
this.
If you get some donations, then you can rank up. You start from bronze, you go all the way up to diamond, and currently he's at challenger already. He's
Bronze
at masters
to
already.
challenger in one game. That's the real goal out there.
That's incredible. Of course, Xiahu in the discussion because there's 7.
Someone needs to stop.
This mid laner has leveled up himself, I think you'll both agree, where it's been such a better split and more Xiahu in the spotlight.
Yeah, because during the summer split, this was a real opportunity for him to get, MVP of the split. We were having a conversation between him, Knight, and Doinb, all of course mid laners, all of who really leveled up as players. And I love to see it from Xiahu. Just take a look at this, though. This is going to be a pretty core moment for FPX. They need to try something with a pretty boosted up Corki.
Hey, Black Shield just wore off. That's going to be Xiahu getting stunned down with perfect execution. Tain's coming in to play from FPX.
Goodbye.
They find their pick. That's good. Now for the turnaround. Onto the jungle. Elisa goes into the air. GimGoon's doing a lot, and Doinb turns on. Langx may get LWX, but FPX are still trading up 10. Runs back into Karsa. Will go down, but Uzi dying. RNG getting stopped.
Man, that's the wombo combo that we were finally looking for. Xiahu burned his flashes last time, and this time FPX found the correct target. Karsa has to die.
Yeah, look, he's dead here. They're making a play for the inhibitor. They got the turret in the end.
At least FPX can finally breathe.
Yes.
That's all they really wanted, to slow the roll here for RNG.
Can I ask Karsa? Can I ask Xiahu?
No, you can't.
I think, why are you getting caught here over and over again? A lot of times these are coming from straight at your face angles. There's no surprises here. And look at this. Like, honestly, Xiahu overplayed his cards without his summoners. And this is kind of the second time he's done it.
It's testing your limits, friend. You get to, you get to
it's
a stage.
the caster curse. You told him that he was MVP.
That's true. Then suddenly you got to prove me wrong. But, you get to this point of the game where we already actually saw another instance where Xiahu got caught, but they still won the game. So you really do feel invulnerable at that state, where the team is always there. So even if they start the fight, you still think that you end up winning out the entire skirmish anyways. That was obviously a great fight for FPX, where now they can have an opportunity to go towards the Baron, go towards the Dragon. Let's see what they end up choosing here.
That was a 3K gold swing over to FPX.
Nice.
They were down by 9. So that was a big bounty from Uzi, who dropped the kill later on. And now FPX are much closer within striking distance. We talk about wombo combo comps, and a lot of times they don't require that much of an even gold lead to operate.
Since that last moment, I haven't seen a Xiahu donation yet.
Stop.
That's when you got to keep them humble a little bit, but no vision here for FPX. Someone has to face check. Let's see if RNG gets a pick here.
Now, of course, Doinb has the GA to make that happen. 3 items on the Lucian, and looking at the Gragas, no stopwatch available, nor the Akali, who doesn't have a Zhonya's Hourglass yet. So, dangerous for FPX, but let's see what GimGoon can do coming from the other angle.
Just so you can see on the minimap, I'm just going to come out and cheat and say, are they just pinged the bottom lane inhibitor?
That's not true.
RNG are in yes, it is.
Okay.
But RNG's found themselves in a position where they see a pretty good wave here, and they can play a little bit more slowly. But FPX have just really put themselves in a position where RNG, regardless of looking towards bot lane inhibitor, have to challenge for this Baron buff. So, great play here from FPX, but remember they concede mid lane pressure because of that.
Down goes the minion wave. GimGoon finally grouping with FPX as well, taking the outside track, and RNG have open inhibitors.
That's, a lot of inhibitors, and FPX losing out. You have to make the call here. But you can't go to it.
Oh, no, Trench Line doesn't connect. They won't find Karsa anyway. Repel into the air. He's going to be left alone. RNG's jungler goes down, but look at where RNG are going towards that bottom side.
Gotta say, RNG looked really scattered in that one. They kind of split up between each other, but now they still have that strong fort. And Triforce on Xiahu is going to tear through those towers so damn fast.
Yep, well, that's the trade you're willing to make. 2 inhibitors for a Baron. Let's see if they can even base to stop them from pushing more. You know what? I like this trade for RNG, but if you're just talking about it from a business perspective, if you tighten up your tie, FPX even being in a position to trade is good enough already. So if you look at RNG, they've made a lot of mistakes to get themselves in a position, but that's still a lot of waves now being pushed in towards FPX.
They closed down the gold lead, but right now, those 2 inhibitors are still going to dominate map pressure despite the Baron buff. I think RNG are still going to have very good control, and that's why I favor the RNG trade as well.
But I will say, 2 inhibitors down, gold channeling in. Remember that for RNG, there's no other objectives to take right now. They pick up the Infernal, they put a timer onto the Elder, and that timer conflicts with the inhibitors, so let's see where the Baron goes from here for FPX.
All right, here's a chance here. Pressure is finally in favor of FPX for a little while longer. If they win one team fight, by the way, they just win the game. That's how quickly this has actually changed in favor of FPX. While the goal lead in Teamfight League you would expect would be heavily in favor of RNG, we are just one mistake away from all of that being thrown on the wayside.
If you notice this game, RNG has been very diligent at avoiding all potential 5v5s. They're playing against their style, but against FPX's win conditions as well. Very smart thing for them to do. They realize that at this point, they can win the game purely through stretching out the lanes, getting lane pressure, and I like what they're doing. They're seeding a lot of the times when FPX are grouped.
Yeah, 2K goal lead there from Langx. If we're just taking a look at where the advantages are for RNG, and you can start to see it being recouped specifically for LWX, who, I mean, he started this game off with a flat-out 2v2 death, which really sucks. But if you're taking a look at the, the comeback factor, certainly he's now happy team fighting. He's not going to have the same amount of effectiveness as Uzi, but as long as GimGoon and Doinb finds that kill on towards Uzi, or at least pushes him out of the fight, then beautiful. You actually love these team fights coming out of FPX if they can really mess them up right from the get-go.
And you got that bit of hybrid front line now from Doinb as well, who's actually surprisingly tanky for Xiahu.
Definitely is. However, RNG has gotten to the gold point where it's very difficult to snipe kill a single person. There are multiple GAs being built on RNG. You see one from Uzi as well.
Yep.
So the Wombo combo is not going to get a numbers advantage for you instantly. RNG are going to extend these fights, and they're going to have a lot of time to fight into it. So I do say that RNG actually have the compositionally scaling factor when it goes later against Wombo combo.
One thing we do need to kind of take a look at is specifically Akali. Getting really close to that Zhonya's mark, and it's really needed because using the stopwatch really earlier on, sticking around in base, I think he has just enough gold. That's what I'm looking forward to because there we go.
Okay.
Finally got the gold ready, so he has Zhonya's now for the fight that seems inevitable. So as long as FPX can nail that fight, remember, if the wave is in their favor, which at the very moment it isn't, then they can just run that wave straight towards the Nexus with how late this game has gone and outright win it when they were getting dominated the entire 30 minutes.
I'm curious about the rest of this Baron buff and inhibitor timings here and how that queues up because RNG positioning around, recouping their vision and taking control of this topside jungle where the one exposed inhibitor is yet to be taken.
And pretty much means that FPX never really got to use their Baron buff. It's now going to expire. They never really push past the river at any point. And RNG still have a very strong poke core actually to walk into this, and there's no tower defending here.
I still like Baron being used defensively. Because remember, the entire game was RNG pushing out lanes, 3 winning lanes, 3 pushing, leads so you can stack up dragons. But the FPX Baron pickup and still being able to defend their own base. And hell, you can say it's a big plus because now the inhibitors have given them a lot of resources just farm safely for GimGoon. So you're in a state where sloppy Plague from RNG has given an immense amount of power towards LWX and Doinb when they were out of the game initially. I know, making point of that. But already getting a Zeal pickup for himself, if now Lucian can go towards his rapid fire cannon before this fight ends up happening, he is super well positioned to take down Langx in the front line.
Might be able to deal with RNG finally. LWX positioning around the inhibitor. You can see FPX want to defend this. Clearing out the waves won't be enough. RNG are moving in, and with Xiahu's range, explosive cast, hang on. FPX turn for the fight. Xiahu gets out once again. Tain does the damage onto LWX, and Langx, the culling turns him into GA, the final tick. As FPX now looking for the 5-on-5. We talked about it, and Chris drags him back in onto Uzi. The Black Shield stopped away with the ultimate from Nautilus as Doinb at half health. Now for RNG disengage.
They got to go back to base. Even with RNG wanting to escape, you have to protect your Nexus turrets.
Yeah, I have to say, RNG could have waited on that play just a little bit more and gotten a perfect 5v4. That one was basically Langx getting caught out a little bit early than they expected. However, because they're so far ahead, play still stands.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely nervousness. They do not play like this during the regular season when they're in their own venue. They do not even play like this during, the semifinals run where both of these teams, I'll say specifically RNG, were far more cleaner. Now with the advantage that they had, Xiahu has consistently been the person who's been playing far too forward, even with the Morgana, who's had the Morgana shield on top of him. So at the end of the day, you have to be playing to the inhibitors you had ready for the bot side of the map. So as Clement said, you had the wave pushing in, slow play it a lot more, but look at this.
Wow. Okay, Elder taken here for RNG. That is a double mountain, double infernal Elder. And with Baron buff soon to be respawning, now they head that way.
That was the one W from Karsa. I chunked out Lucian to about 70% HP.
Yep.
That's outright 30 based off that one ability alone. So really watch out for yourself here.
Xiahu doing the same with his poke now, picking up his 4th item, or rather 3.5 there on the board as Cocoon will narrowly miss an FPX. Walking around mid lane's dangerous here with the Elder Baron or Elder Dragon team.
And that was just Elise stealing Luden's echo damage across to on RNG's side. Excuse me, just the echo damage. Here comes the team fight.
Explosive cast. Doinb goes in only onto one. It's Langx, but the poke damage comes out of Uzi. Ults into the back line, into the middle of the team. It's GimGoon in the shroud delaying them as it will be the Elise taking down Xiahu. GimGoon out on the back of the fight as RNG take the rest of it. And LWX, no! It won't be the final one because it was GimGoon who goes to his death. And with a full-blown ace and the inhibitor exposed, RNG will look for the game 1 end.
RNG dominant throughout all 3 lanes, holding strong CS leads. FPX unfortunate early blunders, and they finally find themselves in a similar position. That playoff pressure seems to be seeping in.
That's when you start dabbing off some sweat off your head. Because RNG, with how this game started, definitely should have been a clean victory. At least what we saw was a point of evolution for FPX. That going into game 2, that they are a team that do have that strong mentality, that they can find a way to claw back in with how that game was playing out. So I want to see what game 2 looks like. You can already hear the RNG chants coming through.
Look at Uzi's face. There's no emotion whatsoever. He's been here. He's done this too many times. This is just another day in the office for him.
For RNG, a final's a final, and you're right, in part of that game, nothing looks secure, actually, for both teams. And that's a great sign of things to come.
Yeah, because for me, looking towards this finals, it really was a discussion of who is the better bot lane for me. And as you can see, based off of the performance in 2v2 alone, Ming just outright went mad that game.
Yep.
And alongside Uzi, consistently we see them as the best 2v2, the best dual lane in the world. LWX was the one that ended up picking all LPL AD carry. This was supposed to be his split, and while he still has a way to kind of end the chapter, remember this is just game 1, this was a really bad start for LWX and Chris.
And I think a lot of it started from the draft as well. This is only the 3rd time that we saw Xiahu and Langx switch their lanes, and because of that, they dominated mid lane priority.
Yep.
They had a better top lane, and FPX's motto of winning everywhere just did not appear.
I mean, it's rare to see Doinb not leave the lane. It's rare to see Doinb not have access to the map, but like we said, it's RNG who before have shut this down.
This game really felt like an anomaly in just the first 5 minutes, and expected simply because
Absolutely.
it's in a final environment where both these teams are just going to either be over-aggressive or overly passive, like we've seen in Rift Rivals, when teams get on that stage and they don't act like normal. So I expected to be pretty heavily towards 2v2 and mid side, but then it started in the bottom lane just in the skirmish alone. That changes everything, and I really do hope that LWX and Chris can come back in game 2.
The analyst desk was right though, Raz. Clement, they said it wouldn't be about the top lane, and at the end of the day, it really wasn't. I can say one thing about that series though, or rather the first game, is that Uzi and LWX are set up to be our protagonists, or maybe antagonists, throughout the whole series.
Yes, I just want to see what it looks like coming into game 2.
Me too as well. We are shortly going to be throwing over to the analyst desk. In fact, now over back to Asheen, Soas, and Nelson.
Thank you very much, Hysterics. Apparently I don't get a summoner name either, of course. But, of course, interesting game 1, I think is the way we put it. We were at like 10 minutes, we were saying game over. You were laughing. You were like, you did it. I got the 1-0, no problem. But it slowed down, and there was a lot of small little moments where you felt like, you know, RNG weren't pushing their advantage as much as they should have.
Yeah, as we were talking about, they are not using the Renekton pressure that much. They didn't contest the second Mountain Drake, which I thought that they could. Instead, they are just waiting for scaling, maybe Corki, Trinity, and Uzi Power Spike. So yeah, I think they could have utilized the Renekton a bit more in the mid game, especially when you had like an item up on Yasuo. But overall, as soon as I saw that they had 2 Mountain Drakes, they had Elise, and they had Karsa, they had Elise and Karsa, they could do bound very quick. So that was their win condition.
They two-manned it literally, as you said. Like, they got the 2-man Baron off at, I think it was like 24, 25 minutes or something like that. And Nelson, like, we were looking into it. That draft, when we were talking before the show and we were like expectations of that Yasuo wasn't even in our wheelhouse of champions to talk about. And it kind of didn't really do anything. What do you think the idea behind the Yasuo pick is for the side of FPX?
I actually think there are two important points. One, which is FPX didn't really think about RNG solo lanes, swapping lanes, because that didn't really happen much in the regular season. And what I think their first 3 picks, which were like Nautilus, Gragas, Lucian, I think they were just trying to be too cute with their flex picks.
Yeah, trying to play 5D chess and end up falling over themselves, of course. And you know, it all started from that bot lane. You know, the guys on the caster desk talked about it as well. Ming looked on point, and that prediction from the binding to set it up, it was just insane.
It looks like he just wanted to cue the Nautilus, honestly, and the Nautilus sidestep towards the right, and then Lucian just dashed right into it. Here FPX, after Baron, had to look for picks, so good initiation for them, but then they didn't back off correctly.
And this was kind of like the one fight FPX looked good, and it looked like they got what they wanted.
Yeah, I think Ming played very well the early part of the game, but then they are not very on point with the black shields and FPX engage, which is why it delayed the game by so much. So I think they just need to maybe communicate a bit more about when they wanted to use black shield and when to hit inhibitor or hit turrets, and then they should have been able to end a lot quicker.
Yeah, like a 38-minute game is still a very, very long game, and that is something that, with the advantage RNG had accrued in the start of this game, you wouldn't have expected it to go to 40 minutes, where FPX, like that last team fight where we saw them kind of trade 3 for 2, or 4, yeah, 3 for 2, excuse me, it was getting a bit shaky, and we were even saying, it's like, all right, one last team fight.
Yeah.
It was, unfortunately, with an Elder Drake that had buffed it up, but...
Also 2 Infernals.
Yes, 2 Infernals, 2 Mountain Drakes. It wasn't exactly that. You talked about it, like you were like, as a player, 2 Mountain Drakes early into Infernal, best RNG you can get. That was the best one you can get. But so coming into game 2 now, so I want to come to you. What do you want to see different coming in here from FPX? What do you want to see them try to do to bring themselves back into the series?
I think depending on whether they are blue or red side, I think firstly they should secure a better matchup for mid lane, something which can play against like both of RNG solo laners. Because I think maybe the first game they weren't aware that RNG could do this, but I think for the second game they should be aware of it, and they need to take steps to deal with this in the draft.
And so, what do you think?
I mean, ideally, if there is a Renekton in the game, you never really want to play Yasuo. Even if they haven't shown before that they could swap lane, there's still the factor that what if they do it, right? So ideally, never play this matchup, and even if they don't really face in the early part of the game, Renekton, just as soon as they have Rage Bar, Yasuo can never really R in. If he R in, then Renekton just stun him and he's dead. So if you play Yasuo, just look to get Renekton out of the pool, and yeah, they need to look for a better mid jungle, or eventually, I mean, yeah, just look for a better mid jungle, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, something I want to talk about as well. Like, we saw Aatrox go very low down in the priority. It was second rotation. Do you think that's something we should see start being picked first rotation? Like, it is in 9-15, such a strong pick.
I just don't want to see. I think the first rotation Nautilus on the red side. So I wouldn't want to see that again, really. It just made it so RNG had a bot lane that they are comfortable with, and yeah, Morgana was just a really good pick overall, I think, against those two, even though they didn't play that great in the mid game.
And of course, got to talk about an MVP in that particular game, and I think if it was anybody else, we would probably have a lot of angry people. Of course it was Uzi. Uzi was the MVP of that game, of course. He didn't have a lot to do, but he definitely did a lot of damage, and they gifted him a lot of kills.
And yeah, I think their top laner, the Renekton, he played quite well as well, because he worked together with Karsa to shut down Doinb, which I think was crucial.
Langx can be the analyst desk MVP. He can be our MVP. You know?
He's our MVP.
We're here for the top laners, because they're just not getting any love right now in terms of LPL.
The game was pretty much about Renekton, Elise, and Morgana. So there isn't much to do with top lane or Uzi, I feel like, honestly, in this game.
Well, they gift him all the kills, and you could hear the chants in the crowd. Every time Uzi did anything, it was just eruption of absolute noise. And we'll have to wait and see if FPX are able to actually bounce back in this series, or if RNG are going to go on a tear. We're going to throw it to a quick break, but when we return, it will be game 2 of the best of the 5.